Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We begin tonight with breaking news out of our community. A devastating fire has engulfed the R and Son Matchstick factory, a historic staple and key business in our community. Emergency first responders are on the scene, battling the flames. We go live now to our man on the scene, Chili Pot Missile. Chili?
Thank you, Sherry. The scene here is nothing short of chaotic as firefighters continue their ongoing efforts to battle the blaze. The fire is believed to have started around 8 p.m. and the building was completely engulfed by 8:30. Current investigation shows that the most likely cause of this fire is faulty wiring within one of the production machines, although investigation is still ongoing. Firefighters, despite their best efforts, were unable to save the building and it has been completely destroyed. Fortunately, however, no casualties have been reported so far.
Now, has the blaze been contained or are firefighters still working to extinguish the fire?
It largely seems that firefighters have succeeded in extinguishing the main fire and have now shifted their efforts to fighting some of the combustible materials within the factory itself. It seems like the largest issue tonight was the sheer amount of flammable materials within the factory itself. The place was essentially just one big tinderbox. Firefighters are believed to continue working until the early morning hours. I have with me Chief Shoemaker, who has taken his time to answer some of our questions about the fire. So, Chief Shoemaker, what can you tell us about this scene?
Well, it's been a pretty active scene since we've been here. We've had a couple issues. One with the water supply, one with the main body of the fire. We've had a few small explosions. You made the comment about flammable materials inside the structure. Um, some of those things that we didn't know existed inside the building gave us a little bit of some issues. But at this point, we're in the what we would call the mop-up mode, where we're just addressing hot spots and any small flare-ups that we may have.
Yeah, were any outside buildings or homes affected by this fire?
No, there was no outside buildings or homes affected by the fires. We did have some embers from some stuff when we had those small explosions, but the sheer volume of the smoke cloud, we actually kind of considered if we were going to do a shelter in place or if we needed to evacuate a couple of the houses down the block a little bit. But we ultimately chose that we would just stay the course. The wind actually shifted for us a little bit and moved our the smoke plume away from where we were considering that shelter in place or that possible evacuation. So the weather actually helped us in a way with moving that smoke cloud. And then when that happened, we were able to see some bodies of fire that we couldn't see from when the roof collapsed in and made some voids and pockets that we didn't really see. But all in all, it's going as good as we could possibly think.
Yeah, it's really good. What would your advice be to concerned citizens worried about their safety with this fire?
Right now, they have nothing to be concerned with. The one thing that we'll ask them is, we're still an active scene, and sometimes when we have something like this, because really for us it's few and far between that we have a major structure fire in a commercial building this size, but this allow us to continue to do our work, don't get in our way, and whatever they do, don't drive over the fire hose.
So what's next for the fire team at this scene tonight?
So once we believe that we have what we are going to consider our control time, we're going to continue to put water on the hot spots, but we're also going to give the crews a little bit of a break while we're just pumping the water in, give them some rehab, some stuff to drink and maybe something to eat, and then monitor that. And then once that's done, then obviously we have to initiate the fire cause and determination. How did the fire start? Where did it start? And we'll bring in some help from the state fire marshal's office to help us with that investigation. We might have to call in some private contractors to help us with some heavy equipment, like an excavator or a front end loader to move some of the roofing material and maybe knock down a wall or two. What's standing, because right now we have the south wall of the factory is a little unstable, so it's a collapse hazard. So we may address that as part of the containment of the fire and then the extinguishment of it.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. We'll let you get back to work. We here at 7 News would like to thank the Alliance Fire Department for their efforts here and their time answering our questions as well. Back to you, Sherry.
Thank you for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our coverage of the Matchstick factory fire. We will continue to provide updates as they become available. Stay safe and good night.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 1 week ago today, a devastating fire wreaked havoc on the livelihoods of many of our city's civilians at the R & Son Matchstick factory. Today I have with me Mr. Jet Herrick, who was a longtime worker of the factory and whose life has been deeply impacted by this devastating fire. So how has this tragedy personally affected you?
You know, it's a terrible deal. My buddies and I, we all worked here. I've worked here for 22 years now. I'm the third generation that's worked here, and to be put out of a job is just heartbreaking.
What was your reaction when you first heard the factory was on fire?
At first, I thought someone was kidding. Just, I didn't believe it till I saw it. And by the time I got there, she bellowed up and it was over. Some of us cried. Some of us stood there in silence. We were just at a loss of words. It was devastating.
There's rumors that the company was in financial trouble before the fire. Do you think that this may be something more than just an accident?
Look, I'm not saying nothing, but it's kind of crazy how the building just burst up in flames that fast. We have equipment to prevent that, but for some odd reason it didn't work. So if you know the building like us workers, it just doesn't feel real. I mean, truthfully, it shouldn't have happened like that, and it did.
What is next for you and the other employees?
You know, this has been the only job in town for guys like me for as long as anyone can remember, and for it to be gone just like that, I mean, it's tough. I got a family to feed, bills to pay. I guess I'm just gonna have to look to leave town and search for better job opportunities. It's hard.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Harry. It's clear that the R & Son Matchstick factory fire has left far more than just physical destruction. It has torn apart the livelihoods of some of our city's hardest working civilians. As investigation still continues, it's clear that many questions remain unanswered. But what is clear is that we will rebuild, and we will rebuild better. Reporting on the ruins of what was once our city's largest employer, I've been Chili Pakisal. Have a good night.